Team, what's up? We're going to jump right into today's session by taking a deep dive into our past. Now, some people would say that when you're starting a new journey, you need to let go of your past failures, mistakes, and choices and just move on. And I would agree with that to an extent. But the way you move on is just as important as moving on, because you won't be able to completely move on and let go until you properly, keyword, properly, deal with your past failures, mistakes, and choices. And what we don't want to happen is for the remnants of our past failures, mistakes, and choices to continue to stifle us in the present and keep us from moving forward in the future, simply because we ignored to address why we made them in the first place. So what we're going to do today is to take a look back to make sure that we're not moving into the future with the same old mentality. Because you're not going to change your choices until you change your mentality. And you'll never get where you want to be and get what you want out of life until you start making better choices. And that's exactly what I had to do to change the course of my life. Because even though I was doing fine on the outside, I was failing on the inside, both because of the choices I was making and the choices I failed to make. And let me be perfectly clear. It's the inside that we really need to work on, because not being where we want to be in life starts from the inside out. I need to say this too. Not living the life you want to live doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going wrong in your life. It doesn't mean that you're not doing well when it comes to your career, your finances, or anything else that people generally use to determine if someone is successful. You could look great from the outside, but success is more about fulfillment than it is about professional or material gain. And we don't always acknowledge it, but we've all seen people who are satisfied with what might be considered very little or nothing, yet they're happy, they're fulfilled, and feel like they're living a successful life because they're satisfied with the little that they have and the things that they've done with their life. And they can feel that way because they're not judging themselves by what others say is success. We've also seen people who seem to have everything you could dream of, yet they hate their lives because they're missing something on the inside. And outsiders will look at their lives and wonder what's wrong with them because they seem to have everything everyone is trying to get. But if you're not satisfied with where you are and what you have, whether you have a lot or whether you have a little, you'll feel like a failure who doesn't have anything. And because I know what that feels like, when I made this course, I didn't make it so that you could look like you have it all together. I made it because I wanted to share the tools you need to get it all together. I made this course so that you could look yourself in the mirror and sleep comfortably at night. I made this course because I know what it's like to feel like there's so much more, but you just can't get to it. I made this course because I know what it's like to feel like a failure, and I didn't want another person to feel the way that I felt. Because I was alive, but I wasn't living. I had responsibilities, but I didn't have purpose. I had skills and talent, but I had no direction. And the crazy thing about that is that part of my job when I was a pastor was to help people live their best lives, to be the best versions of themselves, and to help them grow as individuals. And when I think back on that time, I was being the biggest hypocrite because I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. And even though I was doing well on the outside, like I said before, I felt like a complete failure on the inside. I wasn't happy. I separated myself from my friends. I became antisocial. I developed anxiety. My mental health began failing me. I lost every bit of confidence I ever had. And for a good 7 years, I was wearing a mask that even fooled me at times. I was absolutely miserable. And when I think back on that time, I can honestly say that it was the best of times because of the impact that I had on so many lives through my work. But it was also the worst of times because of the dissatisfaction I was dealing with in my personal life. Listen, it took years for me to even be able to think back on that time without breaking down in tears because it was so bad. But a simple invitation to play basketball in the fall of 2016 changed everything. I hadn't played in a while, but a friend invited me to play, and I was trying to get back in shape, so I went. When I started playing, I wasn't making much of a contribution, but I was getting a workout in, so I was cool. But soon into my little workout, my legs started to get tight. And they started to let me know that I needed to chill out a little because I hadn't played in so long. But I kept playing. And in the very last game, there was a turnover. I turned to make a play on the ball. I hear a pop. And while I'm falling down, I'm simultaneously turning my head to see who just kicked me, and nobody was there. I tore my Achilles. And if I'm completely honest, that injury was the beginning of my healing. I need you to hear me on this. Sometimes going through pain is the only way you'll find peace. Tearing my Achilles changed everything for me because it forced me to take some time off. And in that time off, when my only responsibility was to heal, I was able to see that more than my Achilles was broken. In that time, I really got a chance to do what I'm going to ask you to do, which is to do some soul searching and to take a look back to see how you ended up where you are in the first place. When I look back, what stuck out to me the most were the choices that I made and some of the choices that I wish I had made. I saw some of the opportunities that I didn't take because of fear. I saw the times when I quit on myself and others, the times I didn't give my best, the times when I didn't take advantage of growth opportunities. And when I look back, I began to realize where I went wrong, but also realize, hear me now, that I was the only one who could make things right. And while I was there laying in my bed, recovering from surgery, I decided that I couldn't continue living the way I was living. I had to make a change, and I chose to fight for myself. And in choosing to fight for my future, everything began to turn around for me. But it all started with a choice. I saw where I was, and I chose to be somewhere else. I saw things I didn't like, and I chose to make them better. It was that simple. I chose to change, and that choice demanded that I find out what I needed to do to change and to begin doing those things so that I could change. And no matter how much discomfort it was going to cause me, I had to be willing, and you have to be willing to deal with those growing pains, because the road to your destiny starts with your development. You've got to grow. You've got to get better. You've got to be willing to stretch yourself and to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And for me, it took a lot of introspection and understanding. It took me finding the courage to see a therapist that could help me heal mentally. It took me being honest with myself on a whole new level. It took honest conversations with my wife. It took me learning how to forgive myself, learning how to show myself some grace and not being so hard on myself. Listen, it took a lot of work to get out of the hole that I was in. And it took a whole lot of work not to fall back in it, because things didn't change instantly. It was a long process of digging, of being accountable and trying to get better every single day. And if you think about it, it took a lot of work for some of you to be in the position that you're in right now. You didn't start feeling like a failure overnight. You didn't lose yourself because of one mistake. You didn't get to a place of dissatisfaction in a day. It happened over the course of your life, but you just didn't realize that you were putting yourself in that position, because nobody chooses to feel like that. Everybody wants to be happy and successful. But here's the thing. If you're not intentionally working towards your own personal fulfillment and success, then you'll accidentally end up with failure. Come on, folks. And that's why you have to take a look back. You need to take a look back because you need to understand that who you are right now is the byproduct of who you've always been. And the only way you'll get where you want to be is to first properly deal with and let go of the person who put you in this position in the first place. And that's the old you. You've got to let go of who you used to be for who you want to be. And once you choose to let them go, then you can start becoming the person that you need to be so that you can get where you want to go, do what you want to do, and live the life that you want to live. It's all about choices. And the choice is yours. And you can choose it right now. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.